Welcome to this episode of World Drum Club, everybody, and I'm really pleased to share some of my favorite instruments with you in this particular lesson. I'm Kalani, your host and teacher, and we're featuring a set of what I think are some of the finest conga drums ever made. Now, you can debate, what's the best, but these are definitely on a lot of people's top 5 conga drums, maybe top 3. For a lot of people, they are number 1. These are skin-on-skin conga drums, and I'll talk about them. We'll show you, how these are made. We'll talk about who made them. I'm going to take you into the factory with some photos that I have from the mid-1990s, and we're also going to use this lesson to learn a bit more about the conga drum, how it's made, so you can make a better decision, make an informed decision when you go to purchase conga drums. So you can think of this as not just a feature of these drums, but a kind of a how to choose a good conga drum, what makes a conga drum a good conga drum. And that, some of that's debatable as well, but I'm going to talk about all these things. You can debate them if you want. You can leave your comments below later. For now, let's look at the skin-on-skin conga drum. And first off, you'll probably notice this is just a gorgeous drum. It's absolutely beautiful. It's in the classic Cuban design. So you notice the body shape. I think these are just very pleasing to the eye, first of all. And when I say I don't mean me, I mean these are made from what's called quarter sawn American oak. So they're quite heavy. I know some of you, some people say, well, conga drums are so heavy. How can I get some lighter conga drum? Congas are heavy. They're heavy drums. Wood is heavy. Nobody complains about the weight of a grand piano, right? You just enjoy it. Some things are heavy. Rolls Royce is heavy. So we're not necessarily looking to make things lighter all the time. Part of the sound, the richness of the sound, the punchiness comes from the fact that this is very dense wood. That's a good thing. So notice the wood grain. I think these are just absolutely beautiful. I'll also shoot some additional video I'll be overlaying on top of this so you can get a closer look. You'll notice that this drum is made of staves of wood around here. And I'll show you when we go to the factory pictures, you'll see how the drums are being put together. But it's basically a barrel construction, right? Staves of wood, slats of wood, heated, cut, heated, bent into shape, glued together, and then finished on the lathe. This drum also features 5 steel bands, and these are to add to the structural integrity of the drum. This is the traditional construction because this drum and many of the fine handcrafted drums that you see on the market are made from a single thickness, a single piece of wood. Now, a lot of the modern drums where you don't see the bands, and you might be asking yourself, well, bands are important. Why are there so many drums without the steel bands? That's largely because of, one, modern construction technologies, which include the making of the shell in a ply. In other words, there's 2 layers, at least 2 layers. There might be more. But I know a lot of the modern drums are made with 2 layers of wood. So when you get into a plywood situation like that, you're able to glue one layer on top of the other layer, and it adds a lot of structural integrity. So that's a modern design, but this one is the classic. It's it's not necessarily an improvement to do it the other way, as you can tell by the sound of the drum. Now, this drum is also 100% handmade. It was made by Jay Barrick of Skin on Skin in Brooklyn, New York. All of the pieces that you're seeing on this drum, and I'll see if I can get this into the overhead view a little bit better. All of the pieces, including, wow, that's a heavy drum. All these lugs, the plate, the rim, all of these lugs, all this stuff, except for the actual nuts that go on here, all these things are made by hand. So Jay was a sheet metal worker by trade who fell in love with a Puerto Rican woman, married, his wife was Puerto Rican. He decided, and he loved Afro-Cuban music. He loved the music of the Caribbean. He just started to turn a hobby into a profession, and he made drums for many, many years. Now, I met him back in the early 1990s when I was on the road with Yanni. And while we were in New York, I went over there and I met Jay. I met his staff. He had a couple guys working with him. And right now I want to show you some pictures from the factory. He had a whole floor in Brooklyn, New York, where he made these beautiful drums. So let's go to those right now, and I'll give you a little guided tour and some commentary on that. All right, this is outside the Skin on Skin building in Brooklyn, New York. And as you can see, the neighborhood is a little bit funky. This is inside, of course, factory. You see drums being built all over, all sorts of equipment, lots of shells on the shelf. And here's a little bit closer look. These are shells that are curing, drying either before or after being glued together. These are the cow skins, and these are whole or half a cowhide, and this is where they cut the heads out for all the drums. Here's one of the workers doing some work. He's probably attaching some of the hardware to the outside of the drum. This is a picture of some bata drums and some different types of drums before and after they're getting hardware put on. And here's a picture of Jay Barrick, and in this picture he's making one of the rings that goes around the drums. As I said, he built all the hardware himself. And finally, this is me and Jay in his shop. You can see lots of drums in process. It was an honor to meet him, and it's an honor to play his instruments. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that short tour of actual paper photos that I have from the mid-1990s. And I know Jay's retired now. I just want to wish him well and say thank you for making all those amazing drums, made with love, made with passion, and made with a lot of care and attention, which is what we're talking about, which is why these conga drums cost a lot. They're expensive. At the time, I paid around just under $400 a piece for them. But today, these drums, if you were going to sell them, and you don't find many of these, you can go search right now for skin-on-skin conga drums. Good luck finding any for sale. There's people looking for various sets of these or drums to add to their sets, but you really don't see many for sale. And if you do, they're probably going to be over $1,000 a piece. And that's a fair price, I think, because to make a drum like this by hand, how much work does that take? It takes a lot of work. And, in today's labor market, somebody's got to make decent money for their time. And also think about the amount of people on the planet who can actually make one of these by hand. Do you know any? I only know a few people that could do that. So that's a really special skill. I mean, there's a lot of people, you probably pay more than $1,000 to get a dental crown. There's fewer people, and there's just fewer people that know how to make this than how to do a dental crown. So if you put it in that perspective, it's a very special thing. I think it's worth every penny if you want to invest in instruments like these. Now, I bought eventually 4 drums from Skin on Skin. I started with a couple, and I believe I started with the middle 2 sizes, which are these two. This is the 11.5 inch, we'll call it the conga, and then the quinto was the 10.5. So 10.5, 11.5, and then we have a 12.5 inch tumba, which is the larger, and then a 9 3/4 inch, which we could call a requinto, even smaller quinto. So the main 3 would be these 3, and then the very high drum. Now, this drum, not sounding so good these days. That's because the head is ripped. And that's not a surprise because these drums are actually about 25 years old. The heads are about 25 years old too. Except for this one, I have replaced the requinto head. But I want to use this as an opportunity to show you the inside of a handmade conga drum. I want to show you a little bit about how this is put together. So I'm going to take the head off. And in a future video, I will be showing you all how to replace a conga head as well. So we'll look at how to change a head, how to put your own conga head on. I do want to point out though, right now, look at the texture of this skin. This is cow skin. This is not bison skin or water buffalo, which is what you see on a lot of the factory-made drums. This is cow skin. In the factory tour, you saw some of the cow skin. He would buy whole cow skins and get his own, cut his own heads out and everything. This is a completely handmade instrument. So let's take this off. I'm not going to fiddle around with this much right now, but I just want to show you that what we call the flesh ring or flesh hoop is inside here. And that's, what's holding the skin against the hoop, the counter hoop, which is this part. So we'll put this aside for now. Let's take a peek inside this drum. Now, let me try to get you guys a good view from the overhead camera. I'm not sure how well you can see in there, but I'll do my best. So inside, you'll see this feature, and this is a metal ring that is on the top of the drum. This is stabilizing the shell. It's part of the drum. And Jay was telling me this is how you make a conga drum. This is how he makes the conga drums. And so that's an important feature. You don't see that on some of the factory-made drums. Now I'll get some other footage too, and I'll show you guys the inside of the shell a little bit better, but you can see that there's staves of wood in here. You can see some of the glue that's oozed out when he made the drum. And I know this one is signed as well. He signs all of his conga drums. So if you look down at the base, now you guys can't see this right now, but if you look down, it'll say made by Jay Barrick in the bottom of the drum. So if you're shopping around for skin-on skins, make sure that's part of the drum as well. Let's just take another look at the shell. This drum is just absolutely beautiful. If you have any questions about skin-on-skin or other handmade conga drums or how to choose a conga drum, please leave them in the comments. But let's just take a review. Conga drums are barrel-shaped hand drums. They're made from slats of hardwood. These are oak. Jay and other manufacturers use other types of wood. Jay primarily made oak drums and cherry drums. Some of his other drums were, I believe, made from ash, but not the conga drums. He did make a line of Econo model congas that are made from other types of woods, not oak. You can research those if you want. Secondly, conga drums are either in the traditional Afro-Cuban style, which would be with the steel bands, or the more modern drums might be made of plies of wood, in which case they may or may not have bands. Some drums have bands, but they're more decorative. These are functional bands, and they add to the structural integrity. For conga drums, you really want to go with natural materials. These have cowhide, and cow or mule is what is preferred among the conga drum aficionados, the conga players. You'll see a lot of the drums on the market these days have bison skin. There are even plastic heads available, and those are always sold with the idea that it's convenient. Let's say if you're playing bongos or something. When I was on the road and we had to play outside, and it was in the evening, you quickly learn that if you have natural skin heads, you're going to be dealing with a lot of changes in pitch. Sometimes you just can't get your heads tuned up high enough when the air becomes more humid or the temperature drops. So in those cases, in some instances, I think it might be a good choice to go with a plastic head, especially on bongo drums. Maybe on congas if you're just in a lot of different kind of weather situations. But if you can, I highly recommend getting a drum with natural heads, animal skin heads, and cow if you can get it. Those of you who are really into the congas, you want to improve the sound of your congas, you might want to swap out your bison skin heads with cow skin heads. You can do that. They're just go ahead and search and try to find some people selling cow skin. That's about it. Just don't be afraid of heavy drums. Conga drums are a heavier instrument as compared to some other hand drums, but I think that's a good thing. Congas really aren't meant to be moved around a lot. Usually congas are they stay where they are type of instrument. But if you are going to move them, of course, get some nice cases, at least some padded bags to protect your investment. Again, I want to thank the people at Skin on Skin. I want to thank Jay Barrett and all of you out there who are conga drum enthusiasts. Michael Plesnick has a really good website on conga drums, and if you search Skin on Skin, you can find out a lot more about this particular brand. But I want to wish you all well. Thanks for watching this, and of course, give it a thumbs up if you appreciate this material. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything, and as always, we appreciate it if you support us through our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/Kalani. Thanks for watching this episode of World Drum Club. I'll see you all in a future video.